What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of The 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. Thanks for being here, guys, to the best entertainment-related show here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. Venom has been, for a long time, guys, my favorite villain in just comic book history. I've absolutely loved the character, and I even, more so than Venom, have even loved Carnage a little bit more. And these are two characters that I'm so excited about seeing on screen together, which is what we're expecting because the new Venom movie is called Venom Let There Be Carnage, and I'm extremely excited about this. I know a lot of other people are as well. The first Venom movie with Tom Hardy playing as Venom got mixed reviews. I was one of those people who actually really enjoyed it. I'm excited to see kind of where they go with it, and I'm hoping that they start introducing, Spider-Man to, the Venom universe and all of that. I think it would actually make for a really interesting story, how they can maybe tie it in to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that being said, though, guys, I want to talk about, in this segment of the show, everything that we know so far about Venom, Let There Be Carnage. So let's get into it. In an article, guys, that was written by Rick Marshall and Chris Gates of Digital Trends, everyone's favorite symbiote is back and he's bringing friends. So, guys, I'm not alone when I say Venom is one of my favorite villains of all time in all the comic books. I mean, you could obviously, him and Carnage, I would almost say that they're almost even. Carnage, I'd say a little bit, is more so something that, just a character I can't wait to see on the big screen. But of course, guys, I love Joker. I love, like, all these other, different characters, Thanos. I mean, a lot of other characters out there in comic book history that I absolutely adore. But these two, and Venom, since in particular that we're talking about, I love this character. Let me know who your favorite comic book villain is in the comment section below. Sony Pictures' Venom cast Tom Hardy as Spider-Man's longtime nemesis, and although the 2018 film didn't click with critics, audiences loved its campy charm. The anti-hero character will only become more important to Sony's plans with the release of Venom Let There Be Carnage, which received a new release date and its official title in the most recent update. It's directed by Andy Serkis, which is huge, guys, because Andy Serkis, of course, he played as Caesar in the Planet of the Apes. He played as Golem in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. This guy is an incredible actor, number one. But number two, I'm excited to see what he does with this. Now, he made Mowgli, I think was the last movie that he made. And I haven't seen that, so I couldn't really give you an idea of how well it was. I know it got kind of mixed to poor reviews. But nonetheless, Andy Serkis, guys, I think is the perfect guy for something like this. Venom Let There Be Carnage is scheduled to hit theaters June 25th of 2021 and will bring back Hardy as Eddie Brock, Venom's human host, as well as Woody Harrelson as Cletus Cassidy, the murderous host of a new symbiote, Carnage. I don't know what I think about Woody Harrelson, guys, playing as Carnage, but nonetheless, I'm just excited to see Carnage on the big screen. Michelle Williams and Reed Scott will also return for the sequel, with Naomi Harris joining the cast. So the release date as well as the title, guys. So this was a movie that was originally scheduled to hit theaters in October. Venom Let There Be Carnage had its release date pushed back to June 25th, 2021 due to the effects of the pandemic. On the same day that the movie's new premiere date was announced, the studio also revealed the film's full official title. And honestly, guys, I think that the name is perfect. Venom Let There Be Carnage will follow the release of Morbius, another Spider-Man spin-off feature which debuted several months earlier in March of 2021 and stars Jared Leto as the titular vampire anti-hero. We've seen some set photos, and so the set photos up to this point, guys, look pretty interesting. I think it looks like, honestly, it looks really cool to see not only Tom Hardy, but also Woody Harrelson in some of these set photos. And look, at the end of the day, guys, they're just set photos, right? They're not, they'll give you a little bit of some, an idea of maybe the location where they're shooting the film and such, but overall, they're not going to give you a whole lot, at least right now. Now, later on, as production is coming to a close and such, they're going to start showing us a lot more. Tom Hardy gave the world its first look at Woody Harrelson as Carnage in Venom 2 in mid-February, courtesy of a stylized photo of the actor posted on Instagram. And so the photo was removed a short time later, but not before sparking plenty of discussion online. The photo doesn't reveal Carnage's signature red and black symbiote, a variation on Venom's own black and white costume, but the colors of Harrelson's shirt do seem to be a nod to Cletus Cassidy's vicious alter ego. And that's, I mean, look, like I said, I don't know what I think about Woody Harrelson in particular playing as Carnage. I thought Tom Hardy was going to play an incredible Venom. I don't know so much about with Harrelson, even though I think he's a great actor. I just don't know how he's going to do as Carnage, but nonetheless, we won't know until we see, the full movie. You probably know Serkis as the man behind The Lord of the Rings is Gollum, War of the Planet of the Apes is Caesar, and Star Wars The Last Jedi Supreme Leader Snoke. But the veteran motion capture artist is going behind the camera on Venom 2 to serve as the film's director. While Serkis is most famous for his motion capture characters, the English filmmaker does have directorial experience. In 2017, Serkis released his first feature film, Breathe, which starred Andrew Garfield and The Crown's Claire Foy. In 2018, Serkis' performance capture-heavy adaptation of The Jungle Book, Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle, arrived on Netflix after a brief theatrical run. And so, like I already said, guys, I'm really excited about seeing Andy Serkis as the director. I think this will be a perfect franchise for him to kind of continue his directorial work. Now, of course, guys, Harrelson, I said, as well as Tom Hardy are going to be the two main people in the story, of course. But then kind of getting into the Spider-Verse, Venom was only the beginning. In addition to a second Venom movie, Sony is currently developing a handful of live-action films based on supporting Spider-Man characters, including Morbius, the Living Vampire, the Black Cat, and Madame Web, among other rumored projects. Sony also has a number of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse spin-offs in pre-production, including a feature following an all-female team of spider heroes, a direct sequel to the first movie focusing on the relationship between Gwen and Miles Morales, and a number of animated TV projects. Which is super exciting, guys. I mean, that they're really taking Spider-Man, and now with Venom, and they're really trying to build this, just like a big franchise. Obviously, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, guys, is massive at this point, but Sony's kind of playing their part in continuing to grow and build that scene as it is. But overall, guys, look, we know a decent amount about the movie. I mean, we know, like, the characters, overall, at least, unless there's going to be some surprises. We know who's going to be, the cast. We're going to know for the crew kind of behind the camera. We're also we know a few things, right? Because, of course, they've been releasing things here and there on the movie. But overall, there's still a lot of mystery to the story and to the movie. And look, I've always, when I went into Venom, I went into this thing expecting just a fun blockbuster movie. And that's exactly what I'm expecting with Venom 2, or Venom Let There Be Carnage. I think there is something special here, not only for Venom as a franchise, but also just for Spider-Man continuing that legacy. And I'm really excited where they go with this. I'm going to be interested to see where they go with Woody Harrelson's character as Carnage, where they're going to go, of course, with Tom Hardy as Venom, where these characters are going to end up. Are we going to see, Tom Holland, the one who plays Spider-Man? We're going to see him make a surprise appearance in this movie. That's what I'm kind of hoping for. I'm just excited nonetheless to see the continuation of this, because the Venom character that we had, of course, in Spider-Man 3 that came out a number of years ago by Sam Raimi, I would have to say, guys, that I just didn't like the portrayal of the character, and I know a lot of other people didn't either, and so I'm excited to see them continue like a solo Venom movie, and that's going to be something pretty interesting, I think, to witness. But let me know what you guys are most excited about in the comment section below about Venom Let There Be Carnage, and for more Venom Let There Be Carnage content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. We've talked on the YouTube channel on a number of occasions about Crisis, guys. This is a franchise that I think has a lot of potential, lots of potential opportunities that could lie within this franchise for Crytek. And I think that this is a franchise, guys, that deserves to continue into the foreseeable future. And with more recently than not so much, the announcement of Crisis Remastered that's going to be coming out, guys, probably at some point or another, and I'm very excited about this. I'm very excited for the Crisis Remastered games to come out. And Crytek announced that this was coming out. And what I want to talk about in this segment of the show is how the Crysis being remastered could potentially lead us to Crysis 4. So let's talk about it. So guys, I've always said that Crytek, the makers of Crysis, they were basically started because of this franchise. I mean, think about it: Crysis, Crytek, the Cry engine. This entire company is built around Crysis. So number one, we've talked about on a number of occasions the potential of a Crysis 4 and what that would look like. We talked about maybe Crysis 4 going free to play or Crysis being a soft reboot to the franchise. Well, we got kind of some answers that Crysis Remastered is going to be the next thing coming out. We know that Crytek also, guys, has been working, overall on Hunt Showdown at this point. Now, of course, they're working on, Crysis Remastered as well at this point, which is great to know. What my thought process was, I thought that, maybe after Hunt Showdown, they would come back to Crysis. And it looks like, I was hoping that they were coming back to Crysis in a Crysis 4 or a Crysis soft reboot type of way, which maybe Crysis Remastered can be looked at as a Crysis reboot, potentially. But that being said, what this leads me to, guys, is that this opens up the door to the possibility that a Crysis 4 could come out. Now, I think it's going to come down to a number of things here. Number one is going to be the critical reception of Crysis Remastered. But even more so than that, I would say number two would be, of course, how well Crysis Remastered sells. And is it going to sell a lot? Does it sell a lot of copies? Does it justify Crytek continuing the Crysis franchise? Because I think what they're probably thinking in their mind is, hopefully Crysis Remastered ends up selling really well. We bring back, of course, we add a few things maybe to the story modes, we continue the multiplayer modes that we introduced, and we kind of continue onwards where we started. And then if it sells well, which they're probably expecting it to sell decent, they go ahead and they start working on a Crysis 4, and they kind of greenlight that shortly after Crysis Remastered. And maybe what they end up doing is they go back to Hunt Showdown, they make a sequel to Hunt Showdown, and then we get a Crysis 4 after that. Or maybe they'll just keep updating, Hunt Showdown, and they just continue working on the Crysis and Crysis 4, whatever that may be. Because we have heard that there was talks that Crysis 4 wasn't going to be called Crysis 4, and that Crysis 4 was actually going to be a Crysis free-to-play game, which is a very interesting concept as well. So there's a number of moving parts here, right? Crytek is looking at this and they're probably thinking, well, let's reintroduce Crysis to the world in a remastered format, get people to play all three of these games and see how well it sells, and then we can move into, of course, Crysis 4 or Crysis Soft Reboot. I'm looking at that, guys, as a real possibility, something that could really happen in the foreseeable future here. Once we get Crysis Remastered, and probably, months later, we'll have an idea as to how well the game sold. And we'll have an idea as to, of course, the critical reception and things of that nature, because they're going to look at everything. They're going to look at the reception. They're going to be looking, of course, at the sales of, how many copies they sold of Crysis Remastered. And then they'll move into, of course, the potential of a Crysis 4 or a Crysis reboot. So this opens the door, guys. Crysis Remastered might not be what a lot of you were hoping for. You might have been hoping for a Crysis reboot or a Crysis 4, which I was as well. But what Crysis Remastered may bring to the table is a potential of moving in a direction, guys, that Crysis 4 might be closer than you think, because now Crysis Remastered got announced. Crysis Remastered is going to be coming out in the foreseeable future, and when it does, there's a good possibility that we may hear shortly after that Crysis 4 is either under development already or is now in the, the beginning stages and the initial concepts for the game. So don't, it's not panic time. This is actually very good that Crysis Remastered's coming out. You can look at it from a number of angles, but I'm looking at it from a very positive perspective because the fact that they're bringing out a Crysis Remastered, they're bringing out anything Crysis in the first place, shows us that it's still on their minds over at Crytek, and they haven't forgotten about their, really their signature franchise as a company. So with that, guys, I want to pass the question on to all of you. Do you think that Crysis Remastered is going to lead us to Crysis 4, or do you think that they're just doing this just to kind of bring that nostalgia back to everyone in the Crysis community? What do you guys think their plans are moving forward? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more Crysis content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. Over the years, I've always thought to myself that VR, that being virtual reality, was potentially the future of gaming. I've always kind of thought, though, guys, that even though virtual reality was going to be an exciting new way to kind of connect with video games and video game franchises, I felt that a lot of casual gamers wouldn't want to necessarily move around and such with, of course, whether it be the Oculus Rift or whatever VR headset that you're using. A lot of people like to just sit down, casually play video games, and I'm one of those. But I think that having VR experiences is very good for the gaming landscape. Well, guys, I always thought that with VR, it'd be really cool to play Star Wars in a virtual reality type of format. And now, guys, Vader Immortal is a game that is going to be coming onto virtual reality later this summer on VR headsets. And so I want to talk about everything that we know so far about this highly anticipated Star Wars VR game. So let's talk about it. In an article, guys, that was written by Mark Miller from the PlayStation blog, today I'm excited to let you know that Vader Immortal, a Star Wars VR series, is coming to PlayStation VR later this summer. And the series will be available as a complete series. All 3 episodes in Lightsaber Dojos will be available for purchase together for the first time. Now, what's interesting about this, guys, is I haven't played Vader Immortal up to this point on, the VR series. Now, I don't know how many, of course, like episodes they had of this, but I thought that since this was like the first time I had heard that this was coming to the PlayStation VR, I thought that this would be really interesting. Something that's coming on to PlayStation VR later this summer. Is it going to be going to a number of other, virtual reality systems? Is it only going to be on PlayStation VR? Back in 2016, when ILM Lab first started talking about creating a canonical VR series that focused on Darth Vader, our goal was to tell a new and unique story about one of the most infamous villains in the galaxy. We wanted to bring you into the world of Star Wars in a way that could only be done through immersive storytelling in VR. This would put you in the middle of the action to connect with amazing characters as your actions move the story forward. Prior to Vader Immortal, I worked with the Lucasfilm Story Group to develop Star Wars stories for feature films. Now the task was to bring the same techniques and care that we used in our movies to this new form of storytelling. Of course, quality is key for a brand like Star Wars. We push ourselves every day to combine high-quality visuals, sound, and compelling interactivity in a way not previously attempted or achieved in the VR space. To do this, we built a team of folks with varied storytelling backgrounds from film, games, and animation, brought on key collaborators like Clutch Play, and leverage Epic Games' Unreal Engine 4. This, along with the help of writer and executive producer David S. Goyer, who helped to find our path for the project, which is awesome, guys. I mean, it's really cool that they decided to kind of bring this this kind of galaxy, or this world of Star Wars into VR format. There's so many parts that grab you in the experience, but my favorite is still early in the first episode. The moment when Darth Vader first approaches you is something that can't really be explained. It's intense when his gaze follows you and he speaks directly to you. I've seen some people stand up taller and get in his face, and some shrink a bit or even step back, but his presence is intimidating and unforgettable. Now, our hard work has been recognized too, with Vader Immortal winning Best AV VR Game at the 2020 GDC Awards and the Producers Guild Innovation Award earlier this year. The team is hard at work getting the story up and running for PSVR, and we can't wait for you all to experience it and meet Vader face to face. We'll have more to share in the coming months. So look, guys, I think that at the end of the day, Vader Immortal, the things that I'm very excited about, Number one, it's coming this summer. Number two is that this is going to be, a series, right? A series of different, kind of probably just episodic tales that you're going to be able to go through in VR format. And I think just, like swinging a lightsaber around in VR is going to be something really special. And they could have something really cool here, because I think that Star Wars games up to this point, minus, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, have been lackluster at best. And I think that now that we got a pretty good game in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order from Respawn Entertainment, minus, the bugs and issues that they had there, the story itself was very good. And I think continuing kind of what they started now with Vader Immortal on VR, hopefully Respawn Entertainment can continue moving forward with a Jedi Fallen Order 2 and continue pushing this franchise, that being Star Wars, in a great positive direction moving forward. I think there's something special here, guys, with Vader Immortal. I think there could be something really cool to be had here on the PlayStation VR. It's hard to say. We'll have to wait till we get our hands on it. But as far as everything that we know some things, but there's still a lot of mystery here as to what everything that's entailed here. All you really got to know, though, guys, is that you're going to be in the Star Wars universe in virtual reality, swinging lightsabers around, and of course the greatest villain in the Star Wars universe, that being Darth Vader, will be a key part of this series moving forward. But let me know what you guys think about Vader Immortal. What are you guys most excited about? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more Vader Immortal content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. The hype and the excitement is building, guys, every single day that we're getting one step closer to The Last of Us 2 and the launch of this highly anticipated game. I would say, guys, in all reality, one of, if not the most anticipated PlayStation games or exclusives of all time that I've really ever witnessed. I mean, guys, this is a game that is so highly anticipated. People are so excited for it to finally get their hands on this game, and it looks like we're finally getting very close. It feels like we're so close to actually getting our hands on the title. And amidst all of that, of course, guys, there's been just tons of speculation. There's been leaks that have come out left and right, whether we're talking, a while back or, even more recently. There are people saying that they've, leaked portions of the game and such. And what I want to talk about in this last segment of the show is why you should still be excited about The Last of Us 2 amidst all the leaks and all the rumor speculation that has come out. So let's talk about it. Guys, The Last of Us 2, this is going to come from a guy who I absolutely love this franchise. I mean, when I look at all of just, the PlayStation exclusives, and I look at just games, across the gaming landscape in general, Uncharted used to be my favorite just PlayStation game of all time. Until The Last of Us, I played the first one, and I was, after going through that story, just so immersive, and I just absolutely loved the way that Naughty Dog, made this game. And I thought that even though it had like more horror elements, which I'm a really big horror buff when it comes to games and movies, I have said this to this day that Last of Us took the top spot for PlayStation exclusives. It's one of my favorite games of all time, guys. On PlayStation, though, it did take the top spot over Uncharted slightly. And now I've been waiting patiently for, of course, The Last of Us 2 amidst all the delays, and now with the leaks that are coming out and things of that nature. Why should you be excited about it, especially if you've already seen some of the leaks and such? Here's the thing, guys. Honestly, if you don't want to see leaks, and I haven't seen any at this point. I know that, I haven't been actually actively searching for the leaks and seeing what is being revealed. But from what people have told me that have seen the leaks, they've told me that they feel that they're still very excited about the story, regardless of what they've heard or seen, whether it's speculation or full-blown leaks that are 100% confirmed. There's still an excitement around it. And so even for people who have already seen what it was that was leaked out there. Now, I'm not going to get into what was leaked out there because I don't even know myself, and I'm not even going to start speculating on what was, but what people had said was there was talks that there were things that were revealed about the plot and such in the ending of Last of Us 2 that were leaked. And so I guess we'll have to kind of wait and see if those things do come true when the actual game comes out. But even Naughty Dog themselves has said that there's a lot of mystery still within the Last of Us franchise, that being the second game, that are, that weren't necessarily leaked, and there's still going to be a ton of excitement there at the end of the day. But here's the thing, guys. When you really look at The Last of Us in this story, regardless of whether there were leaks and you saw leaks on accident or, and these end up being true, the thing is, guys, is that, going into The Last of Us 2, I believe that you're going to really appreciate, regardless, you're going to appreciate all of the upgraded graphics of course, the character development of course, of all the characters within the Last of Us franchise. And it looks like just kind of playing that story, new environments, new places, and maybe even familiar places. There is something about The Last of Us that truly is different amongst other games that are out there. And I think that Naughty Dog does a very good job of capturing moments within games that are very intense, but that are intense just for you as a player. Whether it was in the Uncharted series or now with The Last of Us, it feels like a lot of those extremely intense moments have been heightened now within, of course, The Last of Us 2. And just playing that story, I think there is going to be a lot of surprises for us. And I also think that we're going to, get a fleshed out, story at the end. Now, look, lots of people have said that the ending, from what they saw of the leaks, was not good. And look, at the end of the day, my hope is that, let's just say The Last of Us 2 leaves us on a cliffhanger, or let's say it leaves us on in a place where we didn't really think it was that great of an ending, right? Hopefully, Naughty Dog, decide at some point or another to bring factions back, which of course was the multiplayer modes for the first Last of Us. Hopefully they bring that back. Hopefully bring back, some co-op modes and have a number of other DLC that come out to kind of continue moving forward. Now, what this leads us to, guys, is why were these things leaked? Well, a lot of people say that it was due to, an individual that used to work for Naughty Dog stated that the work conditions were terrible and were so bad that he decided to leak basically the entire game and essentially everything that was important to the game. And I think there's definitely some validity to probably what he did leak out there, because Naughty Dog came out and wrote a statement stating that, it's really unfortunate that things were leaked. And that probably tells you that some of the stuff that was leaked was definitely in the game or was true. So here's the thing. At the end of the day, even though it seems the work conditions over at Naughty Dog are not very good, there's real crunch over there. And I've said this, guys, that I think there's an overemphasis on crunch. I compare the gaming industry to the film industry. I'm a filmmaker, guys. I used to make movies. I went to the New York Film Academy for school. And look, there's a lot of times when you're making movies, you're doing it for little to no money at all. And let's just say you're doing it for, not that much money. Or let's just even say that you're doing it for a full-blown salary. You're doing it because you love to make movies. You love the art form and such. And there's times where you'll wake up at 6 in the morning and you won't get done on set until around midnight or even later than that. So very long hours, guys, to get your movies done in general. You can compare that to gaming, whereas there's this crunch, which it's just called that because it's kind of a newer. This is a newer industry than filmmaking. I think gaming industry is going to kind of catch up to the movie industry in the ways in which it works, because there was even problems, guys, with actors and actresses or voice actors and actresses within video games that weren't getting paid royalties for doing voice acting within video games. It's just because this is an industry that's still kind of behind. It's still trying to figure things out. And so I think that there's too much emphasis on the crunch, because it's like that in many industries. If you're passionate about something and passionate about a project, you're going to want to be putting in a lot of hours, guys, whether you're talking in filmmaking, if you're talking about video games, other forms of entertainment, it's what you do. And so after all that hard work is done, your work is out there for the rest of the world to witness, to watch, or to play. I just think that there's too much overemphasis on crunch, in my personal opinion. I've said this already on the YouTube channel, so the fact that something got leaked, if it is true that it got leaked, is a real shame, guys. And I think that person should be ashamed of themselves for doing that, because this is an art form that person, whoever was that leaked this information, if they were working at Naughty Dog for over the course of time, maybe the work conditions were bad. Okay, let's just say they were. They weren't the greatest work conditions and such. But there's other ways that you can go about doing things. You can quit. There's just other ways you can do it. And sure, maybe Naughty Dog is not 100% innocent in all of this. But the fact of the matter is that they're trying to bring out a game that they've been working on for so long. They want to kind of protect that IP, whether you're quitting and then they want you to sign a bunch of just non-disclosure agreements and such. Whatever the case might be, this is a company that is trying to make an aggressive approach to become one of the the greatest game developers in the world, right? They're trying to join the rock stars of the world. They're trying to join some of these other companies in the pursuit of becoming one of the best game developers out there. And so I think, guys, that yes, the gaming industry is still very young. It's not to the point of the film industry yet, and things haven't been completely figured out. But it's a real unfortunate thing. Maybe these are the things that need to happen in order for things to change, whether that's from a development standpoint, whether that's from just a personnel standpoint. Whatever the case might be, I'm very excited about The Last of Us 2, and I think you should be as well, because this game is going to be coming out sooner rather than later, and we're going to be getting our hands on it, be able to play it, get a real feel. We'll all have our own opinions, I'm sure, on the game. And hopefully it'll continue the legacy and the franchise of The Last of Us by Naughty Dog moving forward, and we'll have lots more conversations and a lot more that we can look forward to, whether that be DLC or expansion packs to The Last of Us 2, or factions, or multiplayer in co-op modes and such. Hopefully, if Naughty Dog plays their cards right moving forward here, I think they're going to have something really special on their hands. And I think they know that, and I think Sony knows that as well. And so we're going to begin our hands on it, very soon, guys. But stay optimistic, regardless of the leaks and the things of that nature that you're hearing about. Stay optimistic and judge for yourself when the game does come out. And I'll be sure to give you guys thoughts and such on the experience when I get my hands on a copy of the game. And I would love to hear what you guys think about The Last of Us 2 in the comment section below. What are you the most excited about, guys? Let me know what you guys think. And for more The Last of Us 2 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.